Hello, welcome to Belgium. Welcome to Velo Follies, Belgium's biggest bike show. In fact, I'm told it's the best bike show in Europe. It's the first time I've ever been here. It's a little bit different to Eurobike because this is a consumer direct show. Eurobike, it's more business to business. So let's have a wander around the halls here in Kortrijk and see what's new for 2024. And also see how many drunken Belgians there are at 10 to 11 on a Friday morning. Yes, I know this isn't Velo Follies, this is my kitchen. But the place was so damn busy, so damn noisy, so much to look at that I didn't have time to talk to the camera. So let's run through a few bits and pieces now, loads to look at. First up, a Belgian team, but without a Belgian bike brand anymore, and that is Lotto Soudal. They have moved from Ridley over to Orbea, and they're going to be using the Orca Aero and the Orca OMX. Of course, there's the Aero bike. The OMX is a lightweight climbing bike. I tested it back in the summer. Link below for the review for that one. Team's going to be pretty much on Shimano. Few componentry changes on there. FSA chainset and FSA's in-house brand Vision also supply the bar and stem. So they're using that instead of the Orbea proprietary one-piece bar and stem. Orbea though do supply the wheel set with their in-house brand Ocua. So it'll be interesting to see how those wheels will get on in their first cobbled classics ever. Got to say, I like the paint job as well. Next up, another race bike from two racers, Alberto Contador and Ivan Basso, two guys who didn't do too bad back in the day either. Aurum is their own brand, I think that's how you pronounce it. And this particular bike, apart from it being stupidly lightweight, is Alberto Contador's own custom bike. Of course, it's got all fancy bits on there, lightweight wheels, ceramic speed bits and pieces, you name it, it's got it. I dread to think how much that thing will cost. But they do sponsor a pro team. Last year it was Elio. This year, name change, sponsor change, and we see Pulte come back into the professional peloton. Opposite those bikes were Australian brand Bossy. Now these guys come from Sydney, all designed there but all made in Asia. And believe it or not, that thing is titanium. Titanium tubing matched to titanium cast lugs. Looks very slick, very sweet indeed. Not your usual titanium bikes. The finish on them is lovely, paint job on them is lovely. They were getting a lot of love at the show. Talking about bikes that were getting a lot of love at the show, Spanish brand BH, who had a huge stand there, surprisingly big stand, with their whole array of bikes. Had one bike that was eye-popping. All I'm going to say is, if you were around in like the late 90s, early 2000s, and remember the Mambo t-shirts, well, yeah, bike looked just like that. Now, another bike with a lovely paint job was Durali, an Italian company from Milan. Now, this company dates back, well, to 1910, when the founder, Carlo Durali, started making frames at the tender age of 13. Initially, he built frames for a company called Olympia, who are still going strong today, believe it or not. He eventually moved on to making bikes for Bianchi, and even built the bike that Fausto Coppi won the 1946 Milan San Remo on. Eventually, him and then his son opened a bike shop, started producing bikes under their own names, and this thing's just lovely. The video doesn't do the paint job justice. They also, of course, had some pretty snazzy gravel bikes as well. Another Italian firm that doesn't get enough love is Tetici, and another name I'm probably butchering. But just check this Aero machine out. Definitely takes a few cues from a certain American brand, doesn't it? Now, I'll leave the bikes to one side and let's have a look at a few of the parts. Princeton wheels were on hand. These wheels we've seen used by Ineos in the past. No new models on show as far as I've noticed, but plenty of custom paint jobs there. Something else I'll come back to in a minute. Sharing the same stand as Durali bikes was a company called Back, who originally made and still do make pannier racks. But they've moved into the bike packing world and made these really neat, secure, rapidly clipped on system that only had a patent the day before the show. These bags are going to be available sometime in March, I was told, and I have reached out to them to see if we can get one in for review, because yeah, they look a little bit ingenious. Other little bits and pieces that caught my eye were classified. They've got a new set of wheels, wider internal width, few changes in the rim profile itself, and of course it's got their very fancy hubs with the internal geared system in there. Now I'm expecting big things from this brand in 2024. I think they're just going to go from strength to strength. Now if you're a cyclist, you generally like to let people know in the normal world that you are a fan of the sport, and well, Vandal, Belgian brand, make some good looking casual clothing, and in fact it's a small little company but they still work with plenty of riders fan clubs. Yeah, gotta say I like the stuff. While we're on the subject of parts, I can't help but not talk about Rose bikes. Now if you're outside of Europe you might not have heard of them. Inside Europe they are huge. This company started out life as a mail order catalogue shop. Used to pick the catalogue up in your local news agents in Europe, send off a check for what you want and then it'll turn up in the post. They have become a direct consumer bike brand as well, very much like Canyon. They've got Marcel Kittel working with them now as well, and they also make like helmets, shoes, sunnies, the job lot. On to Focus. Let's focus on Focus because they don't get a lot of love really, do they? And their bikes do look great. The gravel bike looks super clean, super modern, with a few nice details in there, and the road bike looks great as well. Maybe something to get into review for a later date. Now if gravel bikes are more your thing, Surly had a grappler on show that was bling to say the least. Anodised purple parts from Paul and White Industries, very sweet indeed. In fact, Customisation did seem to be a huge part of the show. I think it's going to be the next major sort of, not development, but sales tactic from a lot of brands. With bikes slowly becoming very samey, shall we say, it seems that there's a lot of companies offering the opportunity to personalise your bike with an array of wacky paint jobs. Even Barbie can have one. Now one of my favourite custom bikes was for one of my heroes when I was growing up, Oscar Ferrer, the greatest sprinter of all time. Yeah, I've said it, Milan San Remo's world champion wins. He was a legend. And the bike looked blooming lovely as well. Right, I think that's it people, plenty to lust after there. Now if you haven't already caught the other videos from this weekend at Velo Follies, then I'll link them below. There was an urban and cargo bike one. It was also the same week as the Eddie Merckx bikes launch, and I might have one more video to come from this, from a very interesting project by a big French brand. Right, let us know what you think of the bikes in the comments below if you're watching on YouTube. If you're watching it over on the website at Velo, let us know via the social media sites. And as always people, thank you for watching and enjoy your riding.